The tragedy I see is people work really hard on their books and then they pay attention to it for a week and then they move on to the next. That book is there for the rest of your life.
If no one reads your book, you've written a journal?
Yeah, I stole that line from my friend Richard.
It's a good one.
It's my same friend who said he feels so sorry for people the week of their book release. I think that without an audience, how audacious is it for you to think people are going to read your book? I was that audacious. I just thought, well, it's out there. Obviously, people are going to care. And the reality is you've got to spend time nurturing, finding your audience, making them aware of you, making sure they care about what your topic is, and then you actually write something that you know that people want to read. And if you are reticent to go put yourself out there, again, cool. That just means your book may be a journal. It may be a book no one reads. If you want people to read it, you better be putting yourself out there, not just once, but over and over and over again, telling them about it.
Why do you say TV appearances don't sell books?
TV does not sell books because, like, let's say somebody on my podcast just said this to me the other day. Let's say someone has an exercise book and they go on the Today Show and they go, this is how you're supposed to be doing sit-ups and pull-ups. Somebody watching that is like, oh, cool. Why do they need the book? The person just explained how to do it. A person has to hear about your book between 8 and 15 times before they buy it. So if you're on the Today Show, that's a really big deal. That's 1 out of 8 or 15 times. As opposed to a podcast where you are in someone's ear. Maybe they're lying in bed, maybe they're walking, like you are there with them. It's a really, really intimate medium. And people, like if you're watching the Today Show, it's just sort of this like passive thing, it's on. Podcast, you had an active desire to listen to that. You are either so invested in that host that you really trust what the host says, or you were searching and you want to learn how to do something. So the statistics on how much better authors can sell books on podcasts over books are ridiculous.
How important are pre-sales?
In the traditional publishing world, pre-sales used to be so important because it determined what bookstores were going to order. Now that bookstores aren't that important, they're less important. Here's why it matters. The way it works is, let's say your book is coming out in a month and you're telling people now, every single book sale that happens between now and that first week counts towards your first week sales. So if you're trying to make the New York Times list, and you can sell 10,000 copies between your pre-order time and the launch, that's great. For most people, it doesn't matter at all. I am a big fan of like the stealth launch where you actually don't tell people the date until the book is out, because most of our book sales happen on Amazon, for better or worse. And the Amazon algorithm really favors new books. It really gives a lot of juice to new books. And the way it starts to work is if your book, you want people to buy your book that are already interested in your topic, so that Amazon starts doing what they call the also bots. So it'll say customers who bought this also bought this, 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 and this. So that launch week book sales matter to me a lot more than pre-sales.
What can an author do to boost first week sales?
The best thing you can do to boost first week sales is be everywhere. But first week matters so much less than first month or first year. I think a lot of people think, oh my God, it has to be this great success out of the gate, because that's what for traditional publishing, if your book doesn't sell that first week, they're done. They're moving on. When we're not dealing with that, your book is there for the rest of your life. And the tragedy I see is people work really hard on their books and then they pay attention to it for a week and then they move on to the next. That book is there for the rest of your life. So I say, yeah, try to be everywhere all at once first week, but then try to layer promotion. If you have podcast interviews. See if one can come out week 2, another one week 3. If you have people supporting you by sending out newsletter lists, and Amazon likes that a lot. What Amazon doesn't love is a whole bunch of sales one day and then nothing, drip it out. That's going to be the best thing for everyone.
So the drip method.
Yes.
I like that. Don't waste time on forewords, celebrity endorsements, and book sales.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I see so many people obsess over, I'm going to get so-and-so to do my blurb. And I judge them so much until I became that person. There was this one person, and I'm like, I know I can get her to do the blurb. And no one cares. I myself have never bought a book because somebody blurbed it. Ever, ever, ever. So it's wonderful to have that sort of social proof of well-known people endorsing you, but it is not the most important thing. Forewords are great if you happen to know a very famous person who happens to know you well and be associated with your topic. That's a pretty rare circumstance. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it. The nice thing about a foreword is that on Amazon, they're listed as the co-author. So we have a book where Magic Johnson wrote the foreword. So anybody searching for a book by Magic Johnson, this book is going to come up. But I see people just sort of being like, oh, so-and-so, do my foreword, and it doesn't even make sense.
And then last but not least, book sales.
Why don't book sales matter? Because book sales, you're making pennies on the dollar. If you are strategic about it, book sales is counting pennies when you could be literally counting millions if you have an offer embedded into your book, or your book shows that you are the world's leading authority on this, so people want to hire you. It's just focusing on book sales is focusing on the wrong thing.
And when you say offer, you mean a link or a QR code that could then hire you out for something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think of your book as your calling card. It is your, 200 pages to go convince the world that you know about this topic. And it's not like a crass business thing. It's just, you should be paid a living wage. And if you're relying on book sales, you're never going to be, unless you're J.K. Rowling.
Would it work for fiction too?
Well, no. I mean, it really doesn't. That's kind of, it's really hard as a fiction author to have a business that supports your book. I lucked into it with Party Girl because I was suddenly being considered an expert in addiction and recovery. But normally a novel is not going to lend you expertise.